I'd like to ask a question. What is the tiny musical instrument that is made of wood and wire that sounds as equally at home in Italy as it does in the backwoods of Kentucky? Why, it's the mandolin. The mandolin is a small instrument. It was derived from the lute in the 1700s. It came from Italy. It was a very popular instrument in Italy, and basically the music was folk music, and it was derived from the many generations of classical music in Italy because it's a very old country. The mandolin came here first in the Appalachian Mountains by Scot-Irish immigrants who brought it over, basically as a small instrument along with the fiddle and the banjo. And they would basically play the music and do that and have fun, have square dances, basically share the music, and people would hear it and continue it. With the advent of the recording industry and being music being on the radio, and people would hear that music and they would be influenced by it. The big influence in the Appalachian Mountains by the coal miners and the railroad, there was a whole lot of people that came to this area. And one of the innovators of the music that came out would be a man named Bill Monroe. And what Bill Monroe did, he pretty much made the mandolin a popular instrument in many ways. One way is he chopped the mandolin and used it as more of a virtuoso instrument, where most of your mandolin players at that time, played kind of plunked around and didn't really play with the fire or the tenacity as Bill Monroe used and popularized the instrument. Another thing that's interesting about Bill Monroe is his mandolin. They broke in his home in 1985, smashed his mandolin, and greatly a group of luthiers fixed his mandolin, put it back together, and it remained by his side until 1995, before he died. And he was able to get his mandolin back. Another great innovator would be David Grisman. What he brought to the mandolin was jazz, and a mixture of jazz and new acoustic. And his music is called Dog, and he is popular in most of the bluegrass festivals. And he modernized and popularized and brought along younger people to the instrument. When I mentioned luthery, for Mr. Monroe's mandolin to be back fixed, you have to have someone called a luthier, and they build mandolins, fix them, carve them, and maintain them for people. I personally interviewed Ronnie Hall and talked to him a little bit about the making of mandolins, and asked him, how long does it take to actually carve a mandolin? He said 300 man-hours. That's quite a long time. The mandolin he made for me here has different woods. It has a Sitka spruce top, a curly maple side, and a quilted maple back. But a quilted maple, that's a very exotic wood. You don't see that often. You see how it's raised and has the the different woods and stuff. That's a solid piece of wood. He basically gets these solid pieces of wood from exotic wood shops in Atlanta as far as Maine. Another important luthier was Orville Gibson. Orville Gibson was born in 1856, and he founded the Gibson Company in 1896. Why he's important is Orville basically formed the two styles of mandolin, or made the two prototypes that are the same as the ones today, the A and the F model. The A is a pear-shaped, sweet-sounding mandolin, and the F shape is basically like this one right here. It has a scroll. It's generally more fancy. It's a generally more louder instrument. Mr. Gibson also made an Army-Navy mandolin and during World War I, and got it in all the commissaries, so he was able to take the mandolin overseas and all over the world. My grandfather played mandolin. He was born in 1910, And I always wondered, where did he get the mandolin, and where did he hear about it, and who turned him on to it? Did he hear Bill Monroe on the radio and want to play like him? I don't know. I want to leave you with a little bit of the mandolin so you can hear how it sounds. This is a song called Soldier's Joy, and I really appreciate y'all listening to this, and I hope I informed you a little bit on the mandolin, and I'm going to play a little bit of mandolin for you, and thank you very much.